All right, let's talk about one of the most fundamental challenges you'll face in Kubernetes. How do you get your pods to run on the exact right hardware in your cluster without creating a fragile mess that breaks all the time? Well, we're going to dive right into that.
So this is really the core question, isn't it? I mean, your cluster isn't just one big, uniform blob of computers. You've got a mix of machines. Some probably have super fast SSDs, others have powerful GPUs, maybe they're even in different geographic zones. You can't just throw a pod out there and hope for the best. That's not a strategy. That's a headache waiting to happen. We need a way to give the Kubernetes scheduler some smart instructions.
So let's really dig into this problem. We need control for sure, but we also need flexibility. Because hard coding a pod to a specific machine name, oh man, that's just a recipe for disaster. What happens when that machine goes down for maintenance or just fails? Your whole application is stuck.
Right, exactly. Think about it like you're moving houses. You wouldn't label a box with John's bedroom at 123 Maple Street. That is way too specific. What if you move again? Instead, you just label it kitchen supplies. That way, it can go into the kitchen of any house. It's the same idea. We need that kind of smart, abstract targeting for our pods.
And you know what? Kubernetes has this beautifully simple, built-in solution for this exact problem. It's called the node selector, and it's a game changer.
Okay, so here's the key idea. It's all about adding a constraint based on labels. We're not telling the pod, you must run on this specific node. No. We're describing the kind of node it's allowed to run on. It's a subtle but really powerful difference.
And this right here is where the magic happens. Look at this little piece of YAML. It's just one field, node selector, with a simple key value pair. With this single line, you've basically told Kubernetes, hey, listen up. Find me any healthy node out there that has the label SKU set to small, and go run my pod there. It's so elegant and so powerful.
So, you might be wondering, how does this all work behind the scenes? Well, it's actually a pretty simple and elegant process. Let's walk through it.
Think of it like a 5-step dance. First, you as the cluster admin go in and apply some labels to your nodes. Simple enough. Then, you, as the developer, deploy your pod with that node selector in its spec. From there, the Kubernetes scheduler takes over. It immediately filters its big list of all nodes down to only the ones that have your matching label. From that smaller, pre-qualified list, it does its normal, awesome job of scoring them and picking the best one based on resources. And boom, your pod lands on a perfectly matched, healthy node.
Okay, but what if, right? This is a really common scenario. What if you make a typo in your label? Or maybe the nodes you were expecting just aren't available yet. Does the whole system just break?
Nope, it doesn't break. It just waits. The pod will sit there in a pending state, pretty much indefinitely. And that's your clue. If you go check the pod's events, you'll see a clear message from the scheduler basically saying, hey, I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find a single node that met your requirements.
Now, some of you might have heard of an older, kind of clumpy method called node name. Let's just be super clear about why node selector is the vastly superior, modern way to do this.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Node name is that fragile 123 Maple Street address. If that one specific node goes down for any reason, your pod is toast. It just can't run, period. But node selector, that's our flexible kitchen supplies label. If one of the kitchen nodes is down, the scheduler just shrugs and finds another one.
And let's get into the nitty-gritty, because the details matter. When you use node name, you're actually bypassing the Kubernetes scheduler completely. Think about that. No resource checks, no health checks, nothing. It's a totally blind assignment. Node selector, on the other hand, uses the full intelligence of the scheduler. It checks for available resources, it's resilient to node failures, and it works beautifully with things like the cluster autoscaler. So for any kind of production workload, the choice is, well, it's not really a choice, is it?
So let's just recap the big wins here. It's resilient because the scheduler can always find a new home for your pod if a node fails. It's portable because your YAML files aren't tied to some specific cluster's hardware names. And it's totally scalable. You need more capacity? Just add more nodes with that label and the scheduler starts using them automatically. No config changes needed.
Okay, so theory is great, but let's make this real. How are people actually using this day to day? What are the common patterns?
This is where it gets really practical and powerful. Need your database on that fast storage? Bam, use a disk type/SSD label. Want to make sure your app is highly available by spreading pods across different zones? Easy, use a zone label. Running a heavy machine learning job? Target your instance type GPU nodes. You can even use labels for logical stuff, like making sure your production workloads only land on nodes you've certified for production.
And hey, here's a little pro tip for you. Don't always feel like you have to invent your own labels from scratch. Kubernetes and the big cloud providers often automatically apply standardized, well-known labels to your nodes for things like availability zone, the operating system, or instance type. Tapping into those makes your configurations even more portable and consistent across different environments.
Whew, okay, we've covered a lot of ground from the basic concept all the way to real-world examples. Let's just boil it all down to the most important things to remember.
So what do you need to walk away with? First, node selector is all about matching key value labels. It's that simple. Second, it lets the scheduler do its job, which is a huge win for reliability. Because of that, it's resilient, it's portable, and it is absolutely the way to go for production. And finally, remember the workflow. Label your nodes first, then deploy your pods. Easy as that.
And that brings us to a final thought. Node selector is fantastic for simple rules where a node has to have, say, label A and label B. But what if you need more complex, more expressive rules? What if you need to, say, run on a node that has a GPU or is in the US East 1A zone? For that kind of logic, Kubernetes has an even more powerful tool up its sleeve. But that's a story for another time.